Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Um, I wanted today to talk to you about there's some strange astrological configuration that are going on. I'm not an astrologer, but I'm going to just mention a few things. You have configuration of Mars and Jupiter expanding it, connected to where Saturn is in Capricorn. Saturn is in Capricorn going into Aquarius, and coupled to Pluto that was in Capricorn for a long time, that's about to exit, that's causing expansion of very strange and weird energies. I have to say to you that typically speaking in mass media, people who do what I do, when they post, typically speaking, they don't post from a point of vulnerability and sharing the struggles that they are going through. They usually post from a so-called expert kind of thing, claiming, I'm going to show you how to do this, everything, a bubble of so-called mastery. And everything is okay, everything is going to be all right, blah, 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 that kind of like positive spin on everything. I have to tell you, for the past 2 weeks, whether it was the solar flares or the pole shift reversals, this is what no one is talking about except for a few. The poles are reversing and weakening the magnetosphere itself quite a bit and causing cosmic rays, gamma rays, and X-rays that are coming from the sun, and also the cosmos to actually penetrate. And thus, I saw for the first time in a very long time, at least in the past 2 weeks, I would say about 6 or 7 people that I would consider that do similar things, not exactly the same thing, but similar things that I do. They are talking about how difficult it's been and how complicated it's been, because I've used that term before, it's a roller coaster ride. There are days and moments where you are ecstatically happy and joyous and you're in control, and there are moments you're crashing. And it's very difficult to snap out of what I call the fear or the pain body, okay? And because it feels literally that you're overwhelmed and you cannot find a rope or a buoy to pull you out. And it's actually terrifying. Yet it is a perception, and there is a way to snap yourself out of it, but it is nonetheless a feeling that many of us, a valley that many of us will find ourselves fall into. And that pain body is almost like as if there's two sides of ourselves, and we are vacillating between one and the other. And we're going back and forth where we feel we're connected to God and we're in a state of control and ascendance. And at the moment we dip into. And part of the dip is because if you use it correctly, those moments, and this is again a continuation of what I've spoken about before, is that when you go in these valleys and these dips, it is time for you to go really deep in your soul and try to find out what you're hiding from yourself. In other words, the real root cause that allow an astrological and maybe cosmic configuration or bombardment of energy to shake you and rattle you this way. Because you're not ascended only when things are well. I remember Dr. Stone saying this. He said, you know if you're ascended or not when you have a fever or you have diarrhea. Can you still react from your physical condition from an ascended place? And he's totally right. When things are going well, we can all put a good face to the world. In an age of selfie where everybody on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook are trying to post things that appears to be perfect and wonderful, it is a different story to be able to go into a point of vulnerability and say, okay, I'm not feeling so great today because I have a fear, and that fear is related to, me desiring control, or me feeling that I need intimacy in my life. And this is something I have never experienced. I'm not talking about coupling. I'm not talking about being with someone. I'm talking about, because many people are in relationship together, they are not together. They are just companion. But if you never had experienced true intimacy, where you can feel so vulnerable around someone and you can feel that you are understood, not that they're going to give you the solution set, but there is true empathy and true understanding. And if you can find that, and some of us are seeking that, some of us are trying to look for that because we've never experienced it. And that become a point of vulnerability because things in our life begin to orchestrate itself to make that part, that hole in your spiritual psychology much bigger, and can create crises, particularly when you didn't know it was there, when you had buried it and you covered it with happy face, thinking you're all ascended and you're all perfect. And all of a sudden, this thing just pops up and expose something, and the way they expose it, it creates a derailment in your regular life. It creates some sort of chaos that causes things in your life to be completely out of control. And the moment that happens, you find yourself having to backpedal and trying to figure out what's going on. And again, initially, when you query and you ask questions like, what's the root cause for this? My experience is that the first thing that you see or you perceive is not the real root cause. You might feel there is a fear, and the fear is composed of 2 or 3 different emotions. I'm trying to control them. And when you go deeper and deeper and deeper after several days of querying and questioning, you might finally get to the real root emotion. In other words, the feeling, the best way to describe this, and this is what you should include in all of your queries. When you have an emotional upheaval, and particularly when these solar flares or polar reversal are causing all kinds of feelings and sensation, where you feel like for a few hours during the day or for the entire day, you're moving through mud. Either physically you're exhausted, or emotionally you feel extremely raw and vulnerable. And sometimes you're not even cognizant of the reason why. You're feeling just like you want to cry. You're vulnerable and you're raw, and you don't know why you're so raw. If anything can set you up to start you from to start tears from starting in your eye. And if you can get deeper and deeper into where this is coming from, what you need after you ask the question, what kind of a feeling is this? Have I ever felt this way? Is it one feeling? Is it a combination of multiple feelings? And then when you finally identify the feelings, then the final question, and this may take days for you to get to, the final question: what need do I have in my life that this feeling is trying to fulfill? I better write this down. What need do I have in my life that this feeling is trying to help me cover up, achieve, or patch? And typically speaking, the real underlying reason will finally show up. And you will see, I've always wanted to feel that I belong somewhere. I don't want to be alone. Or it could be, I desire intimacy. Or I'm experiencing grief. Whichever the case may be, And if you're experiencing grief, what is it about the grief that really, is it the being alone, or is it something else? What is it exactly? Just go down the funnel, go down, go down, go down to the part that the most tender and the most emotional for you. Because this is the only way you can heal that fear and pain body. This is the only way you can heal it. You have to keep going down that funnel. And once you get down to that funnel, you get to the bottom, whatever exists there, find a way now to offer, to realize that, it's the serenity prayer. There are certain things you cannot change. And if that doesn't exist in your life right now, and this is the need that your body, your emotional body, and your fear and your pain body feels that this is what I need at this moment, then you need to find a way to transcend it by offering it to God. If the world around you and so many crazy things are happening, like I just saw in the news just now, in what county again in LA, 10 people were shot in a mass shooting at a Lunar New Year festival, and 10 others were wounded. This just happened early this morning. So there are all kinds of chaos that are making, it may not affect me in New York City consciously, but subconsciously, so many of these things are happening. It's gonna gnaw and fray my own psychic integrity. It's gonna have some sort of underlying trauma to me. It's gonna cause me, because I don't exist in an island. I'm connected to everyone else. And my sense of safety, my sense of survival is gonna deteriorate. Because I'm going to look over my shoulder, not consciously, but subconsciously, there's part of me that's going to look around and saying, I'm not safe. And it may start, I am not safe, and that I am not safe is going to pull you back to that fear body, that pain body. Because it takes one emotion, one negative emotion, to begin to pull the pendulum back into from a light ascended place into a fear place. So we have to be cognizant that, and again, and when I'm in those valleys, I have to remember. Sometimes I get upset with myself. I can't believe you're back there again. Okay? Or I get upset. Why am I not in the ascended place? Because yesterday I was there. Why am I not? Why am I back there, back here again? And when you go back into that space, you need to remember. You need to remember that it is a teacher. You're there to discover all the back doors, all the nooks and crannies of your own spiritual psychology that are potential for derailment and for you to be out of alignment with God. And whatever is happening in the sun, whatever is happening in the planet, whatever these events are occurring all around you, they're actually helping you become more ascended. Because the more vulnerable you become, the more you admit to yourself where you are, what you are, and the more honest and authentic that you are with yourself, the faster your divinity will expand. Because it is through that vulnerability that your God self will grow. So as these events and these things are happening around the world, as all of these circumstances and all of this craziness, you understand, are happening, it's not a, this curve It's the sine wave of, of the roller coaster, where at moment there's tremendous sense of accomplishment, of connecting to the spirit and feeling ecstatic, and at other moment it's like, what the, and you're down in the pits and you're wondering, why am I feeling this way? Rather than why am I feeling this way, what am I trying to teach to myself? What is this experience trying to teach me?
Pierre?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before you leave that example, because I wanted to piggyback a little bit on that example. I was watching quite accidentally, but I saw the shooting briefly, but I also saw on the news that weatherman from, I think it was from one of the news networks, got beat up by a group of teenagers on the subway.
Mm.
So, and that's been happening a lot lately to different people. It's kind of like these things come and go and they become popular and then they settle down. And this has happened before. So it seems like it's something that's maybe popular right now. So my thinking is, so when I'm on the subway, obviously I'm not afraid, but at the same time I am.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a part of me, I do my torsion field every day in the morning before, so I kind of feel, I know that this is helping me, but at the same time, you still need to be cautious and aware. People get pushed. You need to be more aware where you stand, your surroundings. So I'm just thinking, when I'm there and I have that awareness and I feel some fear, but then, when I leave, when I actually get to work and that subsides, then it's not necessarily, it's just something temporary. It might not be related to something else that I'm processing, right? Because at times like this, there's no way you cannot feel a little bit.
Right. Absolutely. And if you didn't feel and respond, there would have been something psychologically wrong with you.
Something strange, right? So I guess my question is, then you kind of evaluate, yeah, maybe it's okay that I feel something, but then I get home, get to work, or I get home and I'm okay. Or is there something else to it, right?
Yeah.
Does it linger with me?
No, it could linger. It could, in other words, the first experience, the first exposure may not do anything. But by the fourth or fifth one, it begin create an opening and begin to swing you into the fear body. So then
if it becomes more persistent, then you need to just quit it like we always do.
Well, I don't, okay. I'm not one to create work when there is no work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not asking you that after, every mass shooting, everything that happened, use you to query your body to find out where you are with that news. That's not what I'm saying. It's too much work. Mm-hmm. Because we're being bombarded with all kinds of things. We would be at this all the time.
Right.
I think what you should be concerned about is monitoring your consciousness when you begin to feel like you're slipping into that pain body. When you're feeling out of alignment, then you start querying. Now, how you got there is not that important, because ultimately, the events that are external events that triggered you are not, they are not important. What's important is the emotion that you're sitting in at the moment.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You understand? So wherever you land and what emotion you land into, that's what you need to learn.
That's what's important. Okay.
That's
okay. Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
that makes sense.
That's what you need to query. It's not the event leading to. These events
not so linear.
No. These events are just And there will be a lot more
Right,
bombardment,
right,
all
right.
these things that will come and go and come and go, and they are just Maya, they're just illusion. But the
Mhm.
fact that you allow that illusion to trigger something inside of you, and whatever nightmare or teaching moment that it created for you, sit in that and query it.
Right. Okay, yes, a good old reminder.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
emotion that matters.
Yeah. And when you begin to query it, as I said, don't forget to ask after you get to the emotion. I'm feeling fear, and the fear is related to maybe not feeling safe. And that safety is connected to survival. My survival is connected. And finally, when you get to the bottom of it, as one funnel after another, just ask yourself, what need
Yeah.
exists in my psyche that the sphere is trying to show me?
Yes. And then also, like you said earlier, the root cause as well.
Well, that typically the need will get you to the root cause.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sometimes, I've been actually doing both.
Yeah.
And sometimes it helps to go after root cause, and sometimes the other way around.
Right.
Either way can be helpful, but
Yeah.
it definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. Because it's not linear.
Yeah.
It's not linear.
Yeah. And then
your psyche is very elastic.
Yes.
And very malleable.
Yes.
So you can ask the question one way and it gives you something, and you can ask it the other way, it gives you something else. And sometimes one way doesn't give you anything, the other way gives you something.
Yeah. And then eventually, if you're persistent, you will connect the dots.
Yes.
It would mean something.
It will take several days sometime to figure it out.
Yeah, it takes a while sometimes because we've been suppressing for a long time.
Yeah, and it's typically something that you're not thinking about. Something you didn't know even existed, or was an issue for you.
Yeah, it's definitely not obvious.
Yeah, something you were completely blinded to.
Yes, true. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and by the feeling, the valley, and because you were brave enough to go into the shadow and to sit in that place and to query and to do the real work, the reward is that you can now bring that feeling and that knowing into your conscious self. You're now aware of what you didn't know before. Yeah. Of what was buried.
Yes.
And that awareness can be now, you can create a program around that to heal it. So whatever it is that the need may have been that you feel you don't have, maybe the need is that you want somebody to hug you. It could be something very simple. Okay?
Oh, sometimes I find it used to be true, but it's no longer true. But I'm just not there yet completely with like knowing that.
Yeah.
Like maybe used to be disconnected. Now I am connected, but I'm not like completely in that awareness yet.
Yeah.
Maybe with all of my bodies or what have you.
Yeah.
And it just helps to strengthen that over time.
Yeah.
Because it's like for example, feeling disconnected from God, from source.
Yeah.
I'm finding to heal that it's a process. It's multiple steps. It's not something that happens, in an instance or one sitting.
Yeah.
And at times you feel connected, but then something shows up either from the past, or maybe you're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's not linear, right?
Yep.
So because it's not linear, it's gonna show up in the not linear. It's gonna show up, oh, just when I thought I got this figured out or healed, oh, here's another facet, right? Like what you said this morning, what you used this morning.
Yep.
but then at least, but then but then you know what it is, and that's so much more helpful.
Yep.
Because once you know what it is, you understand the fear, you automatically less afraid.
That's correct. Because knowledge is power.
And then it's just a matter of give it some time, whatever it
Yeah,
needs.
because if it's subconscious and it repressed, it is huge, it becomes immense, it has a lot of energy. But if you make it conscious, it becomes less threatening.
Yeah, and
And
that's
now you have to create a program or a way for you to manage it. Now, if it's a need that you cannot fulfill or you cannot bring for whatever reason, you're in an isolated island somewhere where you don't have communication with other people and you desire social life or to be more social with people, or you have some sort of like impediment, then you need to ask God to help you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that too.
So the first part is to identify why you're in that valley, why you're in that experiencing temporary, and again, that valley is not your this is the thing you need to realize. When you're in that valley and you're panicking, you need to understand, and what helps for me is that I think to myself, 2 days ago, I was in a happy, ascended, and aligned place. Now I'm here. I'm going to go back into that state at some other point. Because when you're in that state, all I can think of, I have to get out of here no matter what. I don't like what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you're very upset with yourself for being there. So the idea is to understand and the moment I understand this, I come down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a temporary thing.
Yeah.
I'm just passing through.
Mm-hmm. And it will pass. And
I am not parked in this neighborhood. I may be going at slow speed, 10 miles per hour, but it is not my residence.
Yeah, that too. I noticed that also, that it helps. Just remind yourself.
Yes, it's not my residence, and I will move through it. I will move through it. Okay, and the moment I begin to understand that, I calm down, and I'm like, okay, now I'm here for a reason. Let me use this opportunity to now query myself to find the lessons that I need to learn.
Yes, it does help. I've been doing that. I noticed that I did it a few times. It helps. Yes.
And once I understand again, because you can be asking for the root cause too soon. What I'm saying is that you need to understand what you're feeling, where is the feeling located. You need to understand, is it one feeling, is it multiple feelings, and all that. You have to, and then ask, because if you ask for the root cause too soon, you're going to get something, it's not going to be the real thing.
Right.
It's not, it's going to tell, your body's going to say something, but it's because you have to understand the fear has multiple tributary emotions that are connected to it.
Right.
It's not that your body is telling you of fibs and is lying to you, but it's revealing the multiple vein and root systems that are contributing to that one fear in your pain body. So what you need to understand is that you have to explore and identify all of the root system, and then finally, that fear is created by false belief. So that false belief is trying to fulfill a need. What is that need? What is that need?
Yes, and that's a good correction. Thank you for that, because I did query for the root cause too soon sometimes. And that was because at some point you also need to understand which part is mine, which part is not mine. Maybe it's planetary, maybe it's interference. So that was kind of my workaround, but it wasn't, but this is what you describing is better.
Yeah.
Because you can indeed think that this is the root cause, and then it turns out that it's not.
Yeah, it's your human part, which is where your pain body is located. It's not completely cuckoo. Okay, so and don't create like don't disown it by you acknowledging that there is a need, and it is that need that created that false belief. This is where the healing will begin for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally.
Now that need can be fulfilled in multiple ways, and this is where the healing begins, because the moment you identify the need, you can realize that that need can be fulfilled in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
The way your body is reacting to fulfill it is not an ascended way to do it.
Right.
Then ask God for a different way to fulfill that need, and a more ascended way to fulfill that need.
Thank you for reminding that. You know, we forget these things. There's so many movies. It's like learning to drive a car with a shift stick. You know, all these moving parts, and sometimes you forget that. Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Because there's an endless number of solutions set and way of trying to fulfill that need.
Right.
So whatever that need is, if you can find it, then and you realize this is your way that your body was trying to do to survive, and still something approximate to that need, but it is not ascended.
Well, you know, like to just very quickly, just to give you an example, like there was a need to belong.
Yes.
And survival or not, I was just watching today a video about how we are wired to belong.
Yep.
So we are so wired that to belong that, you know, it's like it's unavoidable.
Yep.
That you're gonna feel like this. It's just a matter of understanding, you know, this was this relationship, now I have a different relationship, and maybe it's better, more inclusive, more you know, for example. So but sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not, if it's something that's been around for a very long time, it's not enough just to know.
Yeah, you know, that need to belong can be, or apparently your emotional body, your pain body can try to fulfill it in multiple ways. Some people will diminish because they're so desperate to belong. They will forego their own standard. They will accept all kinds of situations that are out of alignment, and they will they will create all kind of chaos, not consciously, but for a temporary band-aid or the illusion of belonging.
Yeah. Oh, you know, like you said, I have had those feelings where it's not conscious, it's not in my head, but emotionally, I feel there's part of me that feels desperate.
Yes. Yes.
And it's willing to compromise.
Yes. And if you go deeper, that compromise, what's behind that compromise? Lack of worth.
Right, of self-love.
Yep, lack of value, self-value and self-love. Right. Lack of worth.
Yeah.
This is adult conversation. Okay? This is where you really learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And what's exposing all of this? All this crazy roller coaster ride feeling, all the valleys. Every time you dip into it, it's an opportunity for you to, you know, it's like, here we go again.
Well, here we go again for sure, because it's the last thing I would expect.
Yes.
Like, you know, I thought that by now my self-worth was healthy and what it should be.
Yep.
Right? We've done so much work over the years.
Yep. Yep.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep. Yep. This is something I discovered recently for me too. What was at the bottom is a lack of worth.
Yep.
And it was shocking to me, but I had to admit it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is where I am.
Yeah.
And I have to now ask God to help me with this, with the self-value and self-worth, because I deserve better. I deserve much more. I had read a meme somewhere on Facebook. I don't remember exactly what the meme said, but they were talking about abundance and flow. And this one guy said, abundance and flow exists everywhere in the universe, and it's the birthright. We are the one that are creating the limit on that right. We're busy creating stories that tells us that we're undeserving of it.
Yeah, and especially like it's so surprising, you know, when you've done a lot of work over the years and something like that will just show up. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
It must have been, it's kind of like we're going back in time, right? Back to the beginning. And
Yep.
at some point must have been maybe long standing, or usually these things I find those they were just there for a long time. So
Yeah.
they're not gonna just like, that's why there are these layers.
Yeah.
Because they went around for a long time and they will go deeper, you know, and deeper and deeper.
Again, I'll be honest with you. I am not, in my own psyche, I'm not so much concerned about where they came from, their product.
Right, the linear story. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, true.
What I do care about is the healing and the repair that I need to do.
Mm-hmm. True.
I want to heal this thing once and for all. Like I've said before, God, do not take the test away from me, but give me the wisdom so that I will learn this once and for all and never have to repeat it again.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. And that's a good, I've been saying that prayer lately too.
Yeah.
Just intuitively.
Yeah.
But then when it reveals itself, then you know, oh, that's why that I was drawn into this prayer or something.
Yeah.
And sometimes you know, these it can be tricky, but if you like, if you commit it, something will trigger it. Whether you hear something on a YouTube or you hear somebody say something, sooner or later something will trigger that you'll be like, oh, this is what I've been feeling.
Yep.
And sometimes takes, for me at least, sometimes it takes a while. It takes more than a few days, but but it's regardless, it's of course worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'll definitely look at that, or the prayer, and to complete the process, the
Yep.
healing.
Yep. No problem. No problem.
Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else has a question or comment before we proceed?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe make a comment that was very, very informational, very instructive to me too. I think we believe a lot of lies. I think the world believes a lot of lies, separation being one of them. And that separation, the feeling of needing to belong, stems from that lie. And probably that's the biggest lie at the bottom of all of it. So I don't know how far down in the funnel you want to go, but it strikes me that we have a lot going on that's not visible.
You are so correct in that if you go even deeper, that the desire to belong. I remember I felt disconnected. This is going back some years ago, maybe 2018, and I was upstate, and I felt I was disconnected to God. And I remember sitting down in the meditation room and asking God for help, feeling completely isolated and completely alone. And literally I felt, I don't want to start crying again, because every time I say this, I start crying. I felt somebody's right hand grasping my shoulder tenderly, but firmly. And the hand just touched me and grabbed me. And I heard a voice so clearly said to me, I have never left you.
Mhm.
And I started wailing and crying. I have never left you. And that was really impactful for me. It rocked my soul, and it reunited me with my God. And I realized I was lost. Again, we're creating limits. We're creating stories, because we are masters of self-deceit. We're creating all these stories that are a narrative that are all false.
Right.
They are not true. They're not true. And really, true ascendance is to remove those limits and to remove all of these illusions and all of these false narratives. This is why Lord Buddha sat for 48 days under the Bodhi tree, and after 48 days of night and meditation, he achieved enlightenment. Well, he did many things before that, but that was the last step for him. He spent years, training, and then the final stretch was that part where he let go of all of the illusions, all of the limits, all of the boundaries. Kuan Yin, in the Heart Sutra of Kuan Yin, she talks about the fact that form is empty and emptiness is formless.
Hmm.
This is a real mind twist for you, This is the final noodle. And she went on in this whole thing about form and empty and everything else, and everything being an illusion and everything else. And when you get into that deep transcendental state, all of the attachments that you had to things, all of the things, the needs, all the needs that you had, they dissolve into this formlessness.
Mhm. I don't know whether it's wishful thinking, looking always for the shortest route. If we go just to the mother lode, if we bypass then all of the other layers that are built up on that.
I think right now, to be honest, given the way the world is, even if you're living in a monastery in Tibet, you're going to be affected by what's going on in the world, because there are too many triggers. Earthquakes, weather pattern, there are too many things that are happening, and they're going to trigger. And maybe this is the last cleansing. I think the planet, to everything else that we're going through right now, we're going to a collective detoxing and purge.
Bardo,
It's definitely a Bardo, or you can think of it as all of us, the whole planet, taking a laxative together. I'm sorry for being so.
Now there's an image.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'll certainly remember that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, I got the picture now. We are all in that. I don't want to call it a learning curve, but in the growth curve.
The growth curve, and so whatever is not necessary, it needs to be flushed out. We need to be lighter, because when it's fight or flight, animals in the forest, when they are under attack, they will defecate on themselves and pee before they go into, because they have to become lighter so that they can either run or fight.
Mm.
So we need to let go of all the things that don't belong. All of the dead weight, we have to release it. And these events are causing this kind of purging, this kind of purge, this kind of like, force excretion from our body.
It is the Pluto effect again, isn't it?
Yes.
To destroy that which exists because it will not allow us to build on it.
Yep.
It to be destroyed so it can.
It needs to die. It needs to die. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It needs to die. I'm discovering a whole bunch of things that I didn't know existed in me, because Pluto is on Capricorn, and it's causing all kinds of things to happen since the past year and going into now. And I thank God. I want to do this once. I don't want to do this again.
Right.
Okay. I just want to learn everything that I need to learn. I want to learn this once.
Mm. Amen to that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to help you learn by grace. Since we're all going through this, learn through me, I learn through you. Let us be smarter and try to recognize the sign and know what step we need to take. Again, I appreciate what Janice just said about the fact that if we go even deeper, we realize that if we're lying to ourselves all the time. Being alone is the greatest illusion of all, because we are not alone. And absolutely correct. You're not disconnected. None of us are separated. But the feeling of being separated when we're in this illusion is very palpable and real to many of us. So it's how we manage this, how we move about, and how we ask God for help to help us find a different way to fulfill that need of belonging, or rather of remembrance that we already belong. Like Pluto said, knowledge is remembering. It's to remember. Because when I had that experience, I felt that hand, and I think it's the hand of God touching me. And I heard that voice said, I've never left you. Not that you are not alone, but very specifically, I have never left you. Because I felt abandoned, I felt alone. And that broke me. Because I knew it was true. It was through my own human trauma and the story and the narrative I was saying to myself that I convinced myself that I was separated. So as we are doing this, we should be aware that the pain body is an illusion, but it is also a teacher that can catapult you to these. Look how many funnels we have traveled through in our short conversation now. Look how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. And it will, if you're doing this by yourself, sitting in meditation, in contemplation, in prayer, whether you're going to work or you're doing something else, you're cooking, and you're contemplating about these things, it will take you several days and maybe months to actually get to the bottom. and to learn, to really learn. And once that is achieved, then the real understanding is to ask God to park you into the knowing that God never left you, the knowing that you belong, the knowing that you're deserving of God's attention, and that you're deserving of God's love, flow, abundance, and endless blessings. Now, accepting this means that you're going to have to learn how to receive. And this is connected to this, and it's connected to my struggle, is that I have difficulty receiving. I can give, because that's all I've been doing this in for multiple lifetimes. But learning and accepting from someone else. Because when I say no to receiving, I'm saying no to the entire system, including the system that connects how God gives to me. And those of us who are givers, if we, some of us are compelled that if someone gives you something, you have to do something back for them. Sometimes the universe is saying, you've done so well, I'm gifting you this for all the good that you have done. I have a friend of mine who told me that years ago, somebody came to him and offered him $2,000 for a spiritual pilgrimage, unsolicited, and he refused it. And this man pushed the money on him and said to him, this is part of your positive karma. God is saying, receive this. Receive this. Because you service and you've done so much for other people in multiple lifetimes. Now receive this. And he said to me, because he accepted it that day, ever since then, his spiritual business has been flourishing. Because had he not accepted it, he said initially the thought was, I'll create a plan, I'll put money aside every month, I'll figure out a way to get the money to go down the pilgrimage by myself. I don't need this money. But this other teacher who was giving him the money said, God is telling you to accept this for all the goods that you've done in other past lives. Accept it. And when he accepted it, he said, after that, everything he touched in the spiritual realm turned into gold. And he has not struggled since then. Because he learned how to accept and how to receive. So we have to be aware that sometimes the separation or the disconnection is connected to us. At least I'm aware of this, of me not accepting help to a degree. Or for me, giving and giving and giving and not allowing others to give to me because I don't want to owe them anything. And I'm giving compulsively. And I'm like the mother pelican, picking out her entrail I'm weakening and destroying myself and creating actually negative karma ultimately. Because for the person, for the infinity loop to be created, the giver has to become the receiver. When you give, you have to allow the giver to reciprocate something to you, even if it's just gratitude. And you have to accept what, in whatever term and condition that the receiver wants to give to you back, you have to accept it. This is something I'm still learning. There has to be an exchange. Otherwise, the scales are not balanced. You're creating negative karma. Your whatever business that you're in will suffer. It will create stagnation. It will create imbalance, and it will create a short circuit and a backflow. And that will damage you going forward. I have, okay, I'm still learning about this, but I have also to tell you that I'm much better at receiving than I was, let's say, 4 years ago. I haven't mastered it completely, but I'm better at it. Okay, I'm better at it. There are certain things that I'm accepting gifts and I'm receiving more and more from. There are other things I still have qualifications. I still have condition and qualification. I will receive this, but not this. I will take this from this person or not that person. I will, I still have these things that I'm processing and I'm because sometimes God is capable of using a human being to gift you the greatest gift. It's not going to be manna falling from the sky, or if it's money that you want, it's not going to be gold coin falling from the heaven onto the top of your head. Sometimes it's somebody saying to you, "Here, like this, my friend, here is $2,000," and it was cash in the back. Here is $2,000, and he was refusing it initially. And he said he only accepted it because he considered this person to be a spiritual teacher of greater knowledge. He said, I accepted it because I took it on face value. He saw something that I didn't see. And when he told me it's because of the good karma that you have and God is trying to gift you this, accept it and let things be unstuck for you. And the moment he accepted it, everything in his life from that point forward became miraculous. He went on the spiritual pilgrimage. When he came back, all of the blood, for a while there, he was a healer to all of the Hollywood, the king, queens, prince, and all of the famous people. And he made a lot of money. The money is, again, it's a symbol for flow, but more importantly, he connected, he spiritually expanded because he allowed God's flow to come in. He allowed the universe abundance to be restored in him. He allowed God's water to quench his thirst.
And that probably over time help him to have a better practice too, right?
Absolutely.
More helpful.
Yeah.
Because then it's what you get when you have the flow.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I've been reminding myself a lot lately just to be in that, be in the flow, and be in that state of mind, you know, when my mind starts wandering,
Yep.
what if this, what if that, and it's too much, I'm just like in the flow, it will be okay, let it show up, you know.
Again, God has never left you. So instead of trying to control every event, every situation, to try to figure out, should I do this, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
you know, stay in a state of connection, knowing that God is with you. God has given to you before, and God will continue to give to you.
Yeah, totally. And don't worry too much, don't be
Yes,
too linear.
yes, 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 yes.
Then, you know, doesn't mean like if something's in front of you, you need to respond, but if,
Of course.
but otherwise it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then on the back end, we'll do a decent closing meditation. Well, a bit of time, we'll do a long meditation connecting to this knowing. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into our lives. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart blend with each other. And may your upper heart center become the point of emanation for your entire consciousness. Let your entire self-awareness lean completely into your physical body and your upper chest. And without judgments, without preconceived conditions, simply notice what you notice. Become aware of any sensations, feelings, or discomfort. That may exist anywhere in your body. Listen. Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And notice what you notice. In a state of expectancy from a benevolent universe. Listen for any insights, expansions, discomforts, release resistance or healing. That I want to show up for you. What am I feeling? Is it one feeling? Or a combination of multiple feelings? What is the first feeling? The second feeling. Are there any more feelings? Is this feeling connected to multiple tributary emotions? What need is this false belief attempting to fulfill in me? Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale deeply and slowly, we ask God for an ascended and healing belief that will fulfill that need. Please forgive me. I love you. and I let go. I release this false belief into infinity times infinity. Give me the serenity, God, to change what I can, and the wisdom to understand when to let go so that you can take over the burden and create true structural and fundamental change and healing in me. I release this need and this false belief for this need. And let infinity times infinity and the endless blessings of the omnipresence of God pour through me, giving me flow, healing, repair, and the perfect solution set that will align my consciousness, my emotions, and my entire multidimensional existence. Into the grounding of ease, flow, repairs, and instantaneous and miraculous change. My cup runneth over. With your love. I am at rest. In this profound peace. I stand still in this emptiness as I release all attachments and control. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. That led me to some very interesting places.
Yeah, Eureka.
Yeah.
Eureka. Wonderful, wonderful. That way, you know, this is fuel for you to move forward.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions from anyone? I want to say thank you for everyone for listening. For those of you who are following us on Patreon, thank you for your support. On YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with anyone else so that our community can increase. Sending you my deepest love, and thank you, everyone. And I'll talk to you next week. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Love you all.